WGMC Greece Rochester. A public service of the Greece Central School District. Jazz 90.1.
On Facebook at Jazz 901 FM.
Forecasters say it's looking more and more like Hurricane Dorian will not make a direct hit on the east coast of Florida, but will instead skirt coastal Georgia and make landfall in South Carolina on Thursday. Meteorologist Allison Chinchar says this is one powerful storm.
The last official forecast from the National Hurricane Center shows the sustained winds are 145 miles per hour, gusting to 165. The movement of this storm is still west at about 12 miles per hour.
Police in Hong Kong used water cannons and tear gas today after demonstrators threw bricks and fire bombs at them. Correspondent Paula Hancock is in the middle of it all wearing a gas mask.
The sight of that water cannon is not going to be welcome for the protesters. It was used the first time ever in Hong Kong just last weekend, and it cleared the protesters. Even the sight of it now is not doing the same.
2 people are in police custody in Mobile, Alabama, after 10 people were shot at the end of a high school football game last night. The victims all between 15 and 18. I'm Christopher Cruz.
Here's another I Love New York travel tip.
Attention all Buffalo Wing fans, you're invited to Buffalo Labor Day weekend, August 31st through September 1st for the 18th annual National Buffalo Wing Festival. More than 25 restaurants from across the country are coming together to celebrate this hometown delicacy. Festival events include the Creative Wing Competition, the Miss Buffalo Wing Pageant, Bobbing for Wings, and more. There will also be live music, a kids zone, and cooking demonstrations. And there's even more to celebrate. New to the area is the Buffalo Wing Trail, America's tastiest drive, featuring 12 pubs whose history, character, and atmosphere are as flavorful as the delicious wings they serve. For more information on the National Buffalo Wing Festival and the Buffalo Wing Trail, visit the I Love New York website at iloveny.com. Find what you love in New York State.
Hi, I'm Brooke Shields. I've had a lot of different jobs in my career, but the most important one is being a mom. I'm teaching my daughters to be independent and navigate their own life journey, and I'm protecting their future with life insurance. I want them to be okay if something ever happened to me. Protecting my family financially means everything. That's why I have life insurance. It's affordable and a smart thing to do for your family. Learn more at lifehappens.org.
A public service message from the nonprofit Life Happens.
As a Jazz 90.1 listener, you have the ability to leave a lasting gift to the jazz community. By making a planned gift, you can support Jazz 90.1 for many years to come. For more information, contact your financial advisor or call 585-966-2660. You can also find out more about planned giving by visiting www.jazz901.org.
Hi, this is Dick Robinson. If you're having a hard time finding the music you love, the Great American Songbook, join me, will you, for American Standards by the Sea. We think it's the best music ever recorded, and you can hear it every week. Listen Sunday mornings at 10, Tuesday nights at 6, right here on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Dick Robinson's American Standards by the Sea.
You may not realize how important 3 letters can be. For a patient who needs type A, B, or O blood, these letters can mean life, but there simply aren't enough people giving blood. Without more donors, hospitals may not have the blood needed to save lives. That's why the American Red Cross needs people to help restore the A's, B's, and O's that are depleting each day. You are the missing type patients need. Visit redcrossblood.org/missing types or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today.
Today, millions of people all across America are building a life in recovery from mental and substance use disorders, helping themselves and helping each other, with friends, family, and community, lending their strength and support. Join the Voices for Recovery. Together, we are stronger.
Yes, Sound Bytes is coming up on their 30th anniversary. Join Nick, Dave, and Steve every Saturday from noon till 2 on Jazz 90.1 as they go hurtling headlong into the next 30 years.
Jazz 90.1 is supported by our members and the Fine Arts Series at the College at Brockport. Grammy-nominated saxophonist Jimmy Highsmith Jr. and friends will perform at the College at Brockport on Friday, September 6th at 7:30 p.m. For more information and tickets, you may call 395-2787.
Member-supported Jazz 90.1 proudly welcomes you to America's longest-running computer show, Sound Bytes. Call the show now at 966-JAZZ. That's 966-5299. Toll-free 800-790-0415 or soundbytes.org. Now, alongside Steve Ray and Dave Enright, here's Nick Francesco on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Good afternoon, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all the chips in the PC. It is Saturday, the 31st day of August, Anno Domini 2019, and you lucky people, you're listening to the 30th anniversary broadcast of Sound Bytes. I'm Nick Francesco.
I'm Dave Enright.
And I'm Steve Ray.
And at 5 minutes after the hour, we're going to be bringing you news, views, things to choose, nothing to lose. Kick off your shoes, don't get the blues. Here comes the news. But first...
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
This seems very odd, you know.
Why?
I'm sitting here with the table and not have to run the board.
I know, and we're all grateful.
And the board is over there. Nick gets to run it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm worried about.
Oh, here comes Rob racing. Don't touch those buttons.
Yeah, we're here at Jazz 90.1 Galactic Headquarters, and we're having a 30th anniversary party. We got a whole bucket of people in here to join us, many of them wearing the limited edition 30th anniversary Soundbites t-shirt, and some of them even brought the original Soundbites t-shirt, which is
old.
So good, bad, sad. I don't know how to put that, but it's great. I think it's great. So we're having a great time here today. We've got food, we've got drink, we've got cake. Jinkuya,
Make 'em eat
enjoy
the
the
cake.
cake.
Both
Both the guys are already into the cake. We want to thank the folks at Elegant Cakes for providing our 30th anniversary cake today. You can learn more about them on Facebook at Rochester Wedding Cakes on Facebook. And we've got people here. We're gonna we're gonna take questions over the phone as we always do. But if you have a question here, just raise your hand, and our little minion, the great Rob Linton, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear it for him. We'll run a microphone or trot a microphone or walk a microphone over to you. No running in the library.
I should have brought another camera.
Yeah, you should have brought one for Rob. He'll walk a microphone over to you to take your questions. But we'll start with a bit of the news. Of course, you can give us a call, 585-966-JAZZ. That's 966-5299. Toll-free 1-800-790-0415. Apple has moved to patch the patch that unpatched the previous patch. The folks at Cupertino likely feeling rather foolish that the iOS 12.4 update borked some bits in iOS 12.3 and allowed iPhones to be cracked through an open public jailbreak, whipped up a patch and pushed out iOS 12.4.1 to fix the fix it previously unfixed. The whole thing stemmed from an intrepid security researcher type going by the possibly pseudonymous name of Pwned to Owned, who discovered that a jailbreaking bug in iOS version prior to iOS 12.3 got reintroduced in iOS 12.4. While that version brought a suite of tweaks to Apple's latest mobile operating system, it somehow trod roughshod over the jailbreaking prevention, which Pwned to Owned pointed out would then allow a hacker to jailbreak an iPhone using a free and known method rather than some new zero-day style exploit. Pwned to Owned then released a public jailbreak, the first free and open jailbreak to pop up in years. Normally, hacker types keep such jailbreaking quiet so as not to flag security holes to Apple and then charge people for the luxury of pulling bricks out of the walled garden that is iOS. Apple acknowledged that the bug was flagged to it and seemingly rather curtly tipped its hat to the security researcher. We would like to acknowledge at Pwned to Own for their assistance. Some might argue that jailbreaking iPhones and iPads is a lot less necessary than it was, given iOS now has a lot more capabilities than it once had, and the App Store is hardly short of high-quality apps. But then some people like to feel they're in control of their own phones, and the vulnerability would have been exploited by hackers that are more criminal than curious. Either way, if you want to avoid the jailbreaking bug in your iThingy, then download the latest update, which Apple has rolled out. So if you upgraded to iOS 12.4.1, why or why not? Give us a call. Step up to the mic.
No, he left us.
He left the room. Okay, give us a call. You've all got phones. 585-966-JAZZ.
Or text us.
966-5299. Toll free 1-800-790-0415.
What's interesting is Apple has sort of taken a different stance to security lately. It was that they used to be very
lax.
No, very tight-lipped about what they did. I got to make sure my phone doesn't ring. Used to be very tight-lipped about security, keeping everything hidden. They didn't quite go so far as to prosecute people that found bugs, but they never had a bug bounty program like some of the other companies do until very recently. So security researchers, or white hats, because in the old westerns the good guys had white hats and the bad guys had black hats. But I never knew Adam Cartwright had a black hat.
Yes, he did.
Did that make him a bad guy?
Good question.
Apparently. So Apple has recently opened up their bug bounty program for iDevices and Macs, and they have increased their payouts. So the maximum payout for an undisclosed bug in a beta software is now $1.5 million. And there are people now that their whole job and making a decent living is finding bugs. A lot of the companies have big bug bounty programs, 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, and up. The problem has always been over the years is that the bad guys have a bigger bug bounty. Was it Zerodium and what's that Israeli company that buys iPhone bugs?
Yeah. Well, that's
they'll pay millions of dollars. So you as a good guy could get maybe $100,000 turning in a bug to the company, or you could sell it to the bad guys for $1 million.
It's always a game, like we've been saying for a long time, it's a game of leapfrog.
And that's what Apple had said, is that they don't want to encourage that. So now that their bounty is $1 million, that means the bad guys are going to raise their bounties to try to get more of those 0 days themselves. A 0 day is an exploit that nobody knows about until it's found in the wild.
Right, and certainly has no fix because of that.
Right.
Right.
And the other thing Apple recently did is they are opening their security hacker policies, and will actually let unregistered hackers, not working for a traditional security company, sort of join their program and now be able to be eligible for these bounties. They're also making special, in essence, pre-jailbroken iPhones available for the well-known security people, so that it helps them find these bugs better. Steve Gibson on Security Now had an episode about when you write software, do you want the good guys to find it, and so you should have a really good bug hunting program in your own company, or do you want the bad guys to find it let's just release the software? Somebody's going to find it, and so you want the good guys to find it first.
Right. And all of the major companies are doing this. Apple, Google, Microsoft, everybody.
In fact, Travis Ormandy from Google, leading their 0 day challenge, he is one of the most prolific bug finders. There was one the other day where he was in the shower and something came to him, and he got out of the shower and found a bug in a program. So,
well, that's the thing though. Before, back in the old days, Apple was very easy to say, well, we don't get viruses, we don't get spyware and everything else.
Everybody does now.
Yeah, but now that game plan's gone out the window a while ago. Now everybody has to be aware and do security, and that's why we tell you folks all the time, whether you're running a Mac, I don't care what operating system, other than Chrome's about the only one I know for sure.
So far.
That, it's protected within it. It protects itself because there's really no operating system. The best way I equate a Chromebook is to the old dumb terminals. Right. You're just basically connecting. So there's no operating system. So now all the operating systems, whether they're Mac, PC, Unix, they're always looking for some way to exploit them.
And the interesting thing about the Chrome OS is that there's actually 2 copies of the Chrome operating system in your Chromebook, and one of them is locked. So every time the system starts up, it checks itself against the reference version. If they're not the same, it downloads a new copy from Google and then checks that one.
Which only takes a few minutes.
A few seconds, it does.
It depends on your speed of your system, of your ISP. And so it is so far no one has found a way to break that, has found a way to get around that. So when you have when the operating system itself says, "Oh, golly, this isn't right," and fixes itself, it's very hard to exploit it. Now that doesn't mean you can't download some junk add-on to Chrome itself.
Yeah, other extensions.
Right? But that's on you. That's as you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the threat model has changed,
right,
where you don't get a virus by getting a floppy disk from somebody unknown and sticking it into your computer. Now it's malicious ads on website that pop up and say you're infected and call this phone number. And we get people coming into our shop every day that have run into these problems. And we used to be able to say, don't go to the seedy parts of the internet. Stay off the porn sites and the pirate sites, and unless you know the shout. But now it's, fake ads are popping up on traditional mainstream sites. Forbes and CNN and Democrat and Chronicle gets hit. And if you're the lucky one to see that ad first, it can take over your screen because it's just a new window, and they have scary messages. Some of them even talk to you. Some flash lights at you. They say they're Apple, they say they're Microsoft, and give you a phone number to call to clean you out. And oh boy, do they clean you out.
Yeah. Well, it's right there on Nick's little Chromebook that we were doing the show one time. Yeah. And it literally said, he got the message, he turned around, showed us, he goes, your Windows machine is infected.
Yeah.
And we go, really? Where'd that come in?
Yeah. So obviously I'm not on Windows. It's a Chromebook. It doesn't get infected. So I was able to laugh it off. But if you don't know and you are on a Windows machine, you might think, holy moly, I got a problem.
Yeah.
So you want to be careful. Never call the numbers. If somebody calls you and says they're from Microsoft or Apple or Google, they are not. Yep. It really is that simple. They are not.
Just think about
Google, Microsoft, Apple, they don't care about you.
Well, they don't have the manpower.
They don't
think
have the
about your
manpower
company.
to care about you.
Would you call every single one of your customers to tell them they had a problem? How would you know in the first place? So just the manpower, the expense, that's just not happening.
Well, they just had a YouTube video recently about a chief of police. She got a phone call.
Oh, yeah.
And if you folks might have seen that one. And she kept them on the line.
Yeah.
She literally kept them on the line for a few minutes because they were threatening to arrest her within 45 minutes.
Yep. I mean,
she
the
goes,
police
oh, really?
are going to come here.
Yeah. And she
to
goes,
the police station.
But, they use the
to
same
work
type
for me because I'm the captain. Yeah.
Right.
But they'll pry on folks. And this is one thing we've said for a while, is, it only takes one person, for all the calls that they make, trying to, convince you that your machine is infested, and you need to call them and make, pay this money up front. Like we've told folks for years now, the minute they ask for, should be a good clue is gift cards.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know of too many places. I don't take gift cards when I was doing it. I'd rather take, check, credit card, or real money.
The only person I know who takes gift cards is my daughter.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
she'll take them all.
Yeah.
The police aren't going to come and arrest you unless you send them a Walmart gift certificate. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not happening.
They don't warn you in the first place. Yeah.
Who was it that said, Jeff? That should be your sign.
Yeah.
There's your sign.
There's your sign.
Yeah, there's
your sign.
By the way, if anybody has a question, not
raise your hand.
Trying to relate that to here's your sign, but if anybody has a question,
Good
just raise your
segue.
hand, and Rob will trot over, or perhaps just saunter over.
So, I'm Scott from Buffalo.
We know you, Scott. And thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome. Many of these phone games, you can't buy them outright. all you can do is get these rewards.
Oh,
these,
yeah.
These things if you pay money, and there are often ads that show up as soon as you do some stage in the game. There's an ad that shows up, and the question is, are those ads actually real things? Is that a way that you might get trapped to paying more than you ought to pay in the phone game?
Well, that's the whole point of these in-app purchases, they call them. They make it real easy to purchase something.
Or free.
Or free, right? You grab something, and when you do purchase something, often enough, the tap here to purchase is much bigger than you think it is. So if you tap outside there to do something, you've actually caught the button, and particularly in kids games, there are now laws somewhere in the system. They haven't been passed yet, but there are laws about that sort of thing for kids games, but adults are still allowed to be as unthinking as they would like to be.
And both Google and Apple check for those type of things in their games, but so many games and programs in general are submitted to their app stores every day that a few get through. And so every now and then you hear about one company or the other removing a bunch of programs from the app stores because they were doing something bad.
Yeah, Google just removed a couple of hundred. Apple did a while ago too.
Yeah, we generally called that the race to the bottom. When Apple first came out with the App Store, all the prices had to end in 99 cents. So, $1.99, $2.99, $3.99. And so all these companies started saying, well, I can go, $1.99, $2.99, then we'll drop it to $1.99. Oh, 99 cents. The only thing below 99 cents is free. So this freemium model came out where it's free to get the game, but then you pay a premium in the game to progress faster. And games that require you to buy their in-game currency to progress are the worst. Most games will allow you to work through the game without paying any real money. I've been playing the Family Guy game where you have to buy clams because they're in Quahog. They just added a new feature that we really like where you could finish a character task by paying clams, but then you had to get real money to buy clams. So now they added a new feature where you can watch an ad to finish faster instead of paying real money. And to the core of your question, most of those ads are legitimate when they're coming from legitimate companies. But there are many copycat apps or clone apps. Lookalike apps. There's some real popular game, and suddenly 100 Chinese knockoffs will come out and get published into the store. And you can usually tell because their name is 27 words long with all of the popular search things people might look for to find this thing. And it's just they threw it together. They threw those names on it, so you think you're downloading the real game, and then they have these in-app purchases. One of the big tricks, going back to what Nick was saying, is it's free to download, but then when you tap the OK button when you're starting it, you don't see the you agree to pay $99 in little tiny print around that OK button.
Right.
So most of the don't set your phone to automatically approve apps. Make it especially free apps. Make it so you have to put in your password. So if you don't think you're paying for something and then your window pops up and says, "You're sure you want to pay $99 for this thing?" Say no.
Yeah, right.
But if we said people get click happy.
Yeah, read those
click,
messages.
Click, and then all of a sudden you've signed up for, a year subscription for life, paying $99 a year.
Right. So you want to be particularly careful about many of them will nowadays say in-app purchases. When you go to download it, it'll tell you that there are in-app purchases, stuff you can buy inside the app itself. Be very careful, A, to notice that before you do the download, and B, that means you need to be extra careful every time you open that particular app. I don't mind apps that put up little ads across the bottom.
Yeah.
That doesn't bother me. That's great.
We've learned to ignore them.
Right.
So now they're coming up with new ways to put ads at you.
Right. Now the ads show up in the whole thing or whatever. I got that the other day. I forget what the app was. Doesn't matter. The point is I opened up the app and I was in the middle of doing something, and all of a sudden there's this giant ad in the middle of the screen just as I was about to hit a button. It was like, what is this?
Well, a lot of stuff is adding ads in the middle of it. If you're
Right.
watching a YouTube video or that type of stuff, whether you want it or not.
Yeah, I get annoyed when I'm watching movie trailers. So I'm watching an ad for a movie, and you're going to interrupt me to watch
Put
an ad
another
for
ad.
something else.
Right.
Yeah,
and the ad thing is the way many people actually make money on YouTube. Our friend Pete Boulay here, who has the Inspiration Decision YouTube channel, knows this. You get great channel, by the way. You get a certain number of subscribers and a certain number of hits, and then you are eligible to start making money. Now, it used to it used to be, a couple of thousand users and 20,000 hits. Now it's got to be 40,000 hits a year, plus I think 10,000 people, 10,000 subscribers, something along that line. They're just making it harder and harder and harder. Partially because guys like Pete are doing real interesting stuff, but a whole lot of people are just trying to game the system.
We have 183 subscribers.
Holy moly!
On our YouTube channel.
We're going to be rolling in the dough pretty soon. No problem.
Everybody's here, so our YouTube channel doesn't have very many watchers.
But
so much for that plan.
Yeah, exactly. But you can. We do have a caller on the line in a couple of minutes to talk to him. Are you there, Matt from Webster, New York? Hiya, Matt. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, man? I want to congratulate you guys on 30 years, man. That's a mega accomplishment.
Thanks, Matt. We appreciate that.
All right, so I got a few questions. There's two of them. On my cell phone, I got this autocorrect thing and this swipe thing always comes up, and I want to know how to disable it.
Okay, what kind of phone do you have?
It bugs the heck out of me.
Sure.
I got a Motorola E5 Cruise, Motorola.
Okay, so it's an Android phone.
Yep.
All right. So autocorrect in
the settings.
Yeah, in the
Obviously.
messages. I think it's right in the messages settings themselves. You can turn off autocorrect. I think that's in advanced.
Let's say some of them put it right into the systems because if you're typing other letters and all that stuff, it'll try to.
I'm actively looking for it.
Did you say this was the E series, Edward, or the G series?
Yeah, I got a Motorola E5 Cruise.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so what you do is in your settings, in the actual Android settings themselves.
Okay.
You open that up, and at the top, you can search your settings. So search for autocorrect.
All right.
And when you do that, it'll come up and say autocorrection, correct words while typing. Click on that, and you can turn it on or off.
All right. And now as far as swipe goes, how I mean, because I just feel like every time it takes over, I'm texting, it just takes over the whole phone. You know what I mean?
Right. That's a choice of, well, that's not working. That's a choice of keyboard types.
Okay.
So what you do is you need to go into
Similar place, settings.
Yeah, settings.
Language and input.
Yep.
Right, language input. I'm just looking for it. Well, yours will be a little different than mine, but it should be under systems, languages and input, and you can change the keyboard. For example,
so it's like a keyboard type kind of thing, right?
Right. So depending on what phone you have, you may have multiple keyboards available.
So is it
and
like
you
a
can
checkbox? I have to hit the checkbox, and it will just
Right.
come up.
Yeah, because you know how
Something
on
like
some
that.
of them you can just move your finger around on the keyboard.
Yeah, that's the swipe keyboard.
Yeah, for
rather
the
than
swiping
actually
to
typing.
quick typing. Yeah, and so you don't have to type it.
All right.
Right. Some people
All
love
right,
that.
well,
Some people hate
I
it.
appreciate you guys, man. You guys sound like you're having a lot of fun today, and
We're
I
having
wish
way
you
too
guys
much fun.
nothing but the best, and enjoy the day, and you guys have a good one.
Yep.
Thanks, you too, Matt. And thank you
All
for
right,
your
take it
nice
easy.
wishes. Thank you. Are we having fun? That's what I like to
See,
hear.
that's where we've come. You know, I mean, back in the days when we first started, we were always talking about the big PC. Now here we're 30 years later, and we're talking about phones.
Yep.
Because what used to take this, $2,000 box on top, now you can put in the palm of your hand and put in your pocket.
All right, that music tells me that we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes with Dave Enright, Steve Ray, me, Nick Francesco, and you. It is 30 minutes after the hour. You're listening to the 30th anniversary show of the longest-running computer show in the known universe. It's Soundbites, right here on the truly great and award-winning, member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Computer talk you can understand. More Sound Bites is next on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Are you planning a vacation? Take the great savings you receive with your member card with you. Order a travel card to enjoy 2-for-1 benefits while you're away. Visit membercard.com/jazz901 to order travel cards and pay just a small fee to cover shipping and handling. You can also use the member card mobile app to take advantage of benefits at your destination. Don't have a Jazz 90.1 member card? Become a member today at the $90.10 level and above to receive yours.
I'm Otto Bruno. Join me every Sunday afternoon from 2 to 3 p.m. for Sinatra and Company. We'll enjoy the music of Frank Sinatra and his many musical friends, including Dean, Sammy, Bing Crosby, Billie Holiday, Steve and Edie, and so many more. If you missed the show on Sunday, or you just want to hear it again, Sinatra and Company is rebroadcast on Tuesday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. So it's 2 hours of Sinatra and Company for you every week, right here on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
To your razzle-dazzle, you...
It's hard to keep track of all the health information that comes your way, but you still want to make the right decisions. Here's an easy one. Get tested for hepatitis C. It's a leading cause of liver cancer and often has no symptoms. People born from 1945 to 1965 are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. The good news is that now it can be cured. Talk with your doctor about getting a blood test for hepatitis C. Know for sure. A message from the CDC.
Now you can explore Rochester and surrounding areas with a member card as your guide. When you make a gift of $90.10 or more, we'll send you a Jazz 90.1 member card. Then enjoy savings at hundreds of restaurants and attractions near you. So what are you waiting for? Call and become the newest member of Jazz 90.1 today. 966-5299 or online at jazz901.org.
Official WGMC contest rules are available online at www.jazz901.org.
Follow Jazz 90.1 on Facebook at facebook.com/jazz901FM.
Here's a pollen puzzle. How do bees get more buck for the bang? Literally. This is Sanford Singlo with the Lowdown on Science. Consider bees known as buzz pollinators. They favor plants with very sticky pollen. With their mouths and legs, they grab onto the plant's anthers, the flower parts that hold pollen. Then, without actually moving their wings, the bees use their flight muscles to vibrate their entire bodies while hanging on for dear life. Even reluctant pollen gets shaken loose. Researchers in Australia were curious about 2 buzz pollinators, the bumblebee and the blue-banded bee. Bumblebees tend to visit each flower longer than blue-banded bees. The scientists wondered why. So they recorded high-speed video of both types of bee visiting tomato plant flowers. Then they reviewed the recordings in slow motion and discovered something completely new. The blue-banded bee was releasing pollen by banging its head against the anthers, up to 350 times per second. Compared to bumbles, the banded bee gets more pollen per flower, faster, and moves on. Where? To the headbanger's ball, of course. The mosh pit is unbelievable.
The Lowdown on Science is produced by LDOS Media Lab in partnership with the University of California Irvine Science Communication and 89.3 KPCC, and made possible with the generous support of the Fuse Family Foundation.
Here's the latest Jazz 90.1 weather forecast.
The pick of this holiday weekend today across Rochester, Western New York, and the Finger Lakes. After a cool start, we'll see ample sunshine, just a few clouds later into the afternoon. The breeze coming in out of the north, the high temperature right around 70. It'll be in the middle and upper 60s in some higher elevations like the Bristol Hills. Tonight brings patchy clouds and starlight, the low in the mid-50s. Tomorrow brings a mostly cloudy sky with some scattered showers, especially south of Rochester, the high near 70. I'm meteorologist Josh Nichols for Jazz 98.1.
It is 70 degrees at the Greater Rochester International Airport, 74 here in Greece at member-supported Jazz 90.1.
This is Jeff Harris. Please join me every Sunday, 5 to 7 p.m. for Classic Blues, right here on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Nick Francesco.
I'm Dave Enright. And I'm Steve Ray.
And at 35 minutes after the hour, we are Sound Bytes. And we are live here. Well, we're live here every week.
Yeah.
But we are live here
Speak for yourself.
at the... what?
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, right. We're at least not entirely interned so far. And we're going to be... we're going to be here till 2 o'clock. We're at the station. It's the 30th anniversary of this show. Man, we have come a long way in 30 years. 30 years ago, I'll tell you how this show started. I was sitting on my porch having an adult beverage with Simon Ponton. And I just looked at him and I said, "Why the hell am I not on the air?" And he stopped and he laughed and he said, "I don't know. Let's make that happen." Very shortly thereafter, I got an appointment with the folks at WXXI, and we went in and talked to them. And I met the amazing, utterly astonishing Bob Smith. What an amazing human being.
He's long missed.
God bless him. And we started the show, and Dave came along, and Steve came along. Originally, they were once a month. You were once a month because there were not enough Mac questions. Yeah.
Back then.
And my take on it was that Mac people didn't need to ask questions. Everything just worked. But there were not enough Mac questions.
Yeah, but they always had a new model out. Every week, Steve would always come. "Oh, yeah, we got a new model. You just had one last week." "Yeah, but this one supersedes that one."
Yeah, right.
Well, I always found it interesting that the PC questions were all, "I just got a new video card, and how do I make the drivers work?"
Right.
And the Mac questions were, "How do I get Word to underline my text?"
Right.
So they were past all the computer setup and using the thing.
Right, exactly right.
One other person that I have to mention, though, that was with us is the late Esther.
Oh, Esther Vale.
Esther Vale used to be our board op.
She was great.
And that woman, she had a keyboard. I got her a keyboard one time. They had all these other functions that if you hit this, you could reprogram all the function keys, the FN keys, and then there was also shift FN keys. That woman, I think, had every one of them programmed.
And memorized, so she was just like...
Yeah. And she could sit there and hit, well, if I hit this combination, I got this out. You could click on the icon. Yeah, but it's easier this way. Okay.
Of course, you always had to be careful when you told someone to press the FN key.
Right.
No, it's the one that says FN on your.
Right, short for function. But then we were on WXXI for quite a while, and it really gave us our start. Mm-hmm. We then moved to WHAM. The great Jeff Howlett.
Yep.
Was kind enough to put us on that station. We were on there for quite a number of years.
When we met this character over here.
Yeah, exactly. And he was our producer, the great Rob Linton, ladies and gentlemen.
I got to tell you, it was so I was thinking back on the way into the studios this morning about kind of how it all came to be. And our program director at 1180 at that time, I was in undergraduate school at that point, and our program director calls me and says, "Rob, listen, we've got these three guys that talk about computers that are going to start." What was this, Saturday afternoon, right?
Yep.
And they're just going to come in and talk about computers for a couple hours. You're going to take phone calls. Little did I realize at the time what a close friendship I would develop with these three, and later on being able to bring them here. Friendship. And I got to tell you, when we started working together, we just clicked. All four of us just clicked.
Yep.
And I didn't want to get on. I was scared to get on the air during their show back in the day.
You
so
were.
They nicknamed me the reticent producer.
Yeah.
And he had to have a step stool.
I had to have a step stool to see up over the board.
So we could see up over the board and see him because we were literally in another room.
Yeah.
They grow up so fast.
They do, don't they?
And they leave home.
Well, and I think it's important to recognize Jeff Howlett, who was the GM at WHAM back in the day. He saw an opportunity during a very important time when everybody had computers and we were all starting to get all of these devices. And he saw a need for a show like Sound Bytes to get to a bigger audience. And keep in mind that radio station could be heard over the air, can be heard over the air in 38 states and Canada, over the air. So it really set the stage for a lot of these other programs that have come about, and these guys have literally been doing it since the beginning. So when the opportunity came up to get them here at Jazz 90.1, I love you guys telling the story. We went out to lunch.
we wound up going to the distillery.
That's right, yeah.
We were over at the distillery, and he says, all right, come on, let's order lunch. And we all sat down. And we got there, and it's like, all right, before we could say anything, we all sat there, and he turns to us, he goes, all right, I've got Saturdays open from 12 to 2. When can you start?
Yeah, pretty much. That was it.
I go, how about June? I'll never forget this. I turned to him, and I says, how about June 5th? He says, okay, let's order.
That's right.
Yeah, that was pretty much the whole discussion.
That's right. Yeah.
We did at some point ask, you guys don't do call-in shows.
We don't, no. And it was a shaky start because our studios weren't set up to do call-in. Our studios weren't set up to do kind of talk show format and that kind of thing. So if you listen to some of those earlier broadcasts, it was cute. I think is
we had a lot of fun.
We did, and it's we've come a long way. How many years have you been on 90.1 now?
We want to say you figured it
2005.
2005, so 14 years.
Wow.
Yeah, but
14 long years.
Wait a minute, though. I got to tell one story, though. This guy, he throws, when we were having that meeting, one of the other things that came up was, oh, by the way, Dave, you got to run the board. I says, okay, I can learn that, no problem. I was kind of doing it over at Wham, but that wasn't the bad part of it. I'm sitting there running it for the first couple of weeks, and everything's going smooth. The screens are going good. And then all of a sudden, without me touching it, all of a sudden I start seeing the cursor move around.
Yeah.
And screens dropping down. I'm wondering, what the heck's going on? I didn't touch anything. I go, Nick, we got to keep going. He had logged in and was making changes to the next program. But he forgot to let us know that he was into the system.
But I want to remind you that you're the one that told me about this whole great thing about remote login. So I didn't have to leave my house when the radio station shut down. So now I can control this whole radio station on my phone. It's a beautiful thing.
Radio without pants.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. But on a personal level, I want to thank you guys for the many years, not only of service to Rochester and beyond, but also the service here to Jazz 90.1. These guys don't get paid. They volunteer their time every Saturday afternoon, like the rest of our DJs do. Yeah, the checks in the mail.
Yeah.
It really is.
You guys aren't getting paid.
They volunteer their time to come in and answer computer questions. And by the way, many of you sitting in this room are responsible for the show staying on the air.
That's exactly
people that have been members and donors. A lot of people go, well, you're owned by Grease Central. Y'all are rich. And no, we don't get any funding, as you hear us talk about. And because of people in this room that are donors, we've been able to keep the show alive. And I think we should go for another 30 years. What do you think?
Easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
yeah.
let's
we just
got
to beat the polka guys, so we got to get them off the air
That's
first.
Right.
Let's not forget what Rob has done for all of us. He has kept this show alive. We would have been. There's John Andrus. John.
Hi, John.
He was our producer for a while. God bless him. You hear that voice, You know exactly who that is. We have had several homes, but we have lit here, and it is him who brought us here. He's the one who said these people need to be on the air. These people need to have a home, and we're going to be that place.
Because you got to think about it. Because other than our 2 hours on this station, the rest of it's all music.
Right.
You got to think. That gentleman right there went out on a limb, convincing the grease board. Yeah, this could work. And it's, again, due to you folks and supporting us that it's wound up, keeping us on the air, your questions and everything else, and it's worked all the way around.
Rob Linton.
We have John, who worked with you. Oh, we have applause sound effects. I love it.
In the background.
Thank you, Mike. John, who worked with you guys at XXI, has a couple of short things to say.
Thank you, Rob. I have, by the way, it's great seeing you guys again.
Great seeing you.
Occasionally, I run into a few of you at restaurants or even here at the open house.
Yeah.
I do indeed have a couple of stories. I was listening to you on the way in, and your tribute to Esther Vale was just terrific. I was
loved Esther.
so fortunate to work with her for about a year before she passed away. And I inherited that shift 12 to 6. And those were very big shoes to fill. But the three of you made me feel very comfortable. I probably had about 1/10 of the knowledge that you did, about 1/10 of 1% on the computers. But I learned something all the time. And I have two favorite stories. And first of all, Bob Smith was wonderful to work with. Yesterday was my 24th anniversary at the Public Broadcasting Center. And the very first person I worked with was Bob Smith and his board operator as well. And then I jumped over to Classical 91.5. Sorry, Rob, I'm doing a plug here. But from 96 to 2001, I worked with the Bytes crew. And two favorite stories. One particular day, the Bytes guys were giving away fabulous prizes. Maybe not as great as Bob Barker's Price is Right. And this was the very first time I was to take down names. Now, we always did that with Bob Smith's show. And the third caller in was a guy named Terrace. Now, how many do you know who have the first name as Terrace? Well, I discovered that he and I went to elementary and high school, and I had not seen him in all these years. After the program, I got his number. After the show, called him back. We must have talked 45 minutes. Only 2 station breaks, Rob, for that. My second quick story, Standard Time, Central Standard Time, and Steve Ray Time. Now, the reason I tell you this is because we were on the second floor, and Bytes had 2 cameras, but they were very small. They looked like a lipstick tube. And sometimes you had to duck under in case the camera shot was on you. So there was an engineer, operator for TV downstairs, and I was upstairs. And every week we made a bet. Will it be 12:06? Will it be 12:09? Will it be 12:01? And the director was keen enough to. I was still 12 to 6. You were over at Wham. I'm talking to Rob here for those who are in the radio audience. And I thought, well, let's see how they sound. And you did sound very good in the beginning. So on comes Nick. On comes Dave. But Steve wasn't there. And Nick said, well, I wonder if he went over to State Street instead of Midtown Plaza. So those are my 2 stories, and it's great to be here, and congratulations. Another 30 years.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. We appreciate that. We have always joked over the years. I know we've got somebody on the line, and I haven't even talked about Smiley yet, but we have always over the years joked about the fact that Steve doesn't think he's late as long as he can say,
and
I'm Steve
Ray.
And he still does it.
Yeah.
He still does it to this
Well,
minute.
I'm the only one that works for a living.
That's true now. That is absolutely true now.
No.
You took Saturdays off because you didn't have a retail store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I still have to talk about Smiley, but we have Pat from Webster, who's I hope still been. Oh, no, sorry, Pat. I know we kept you holding. I apologize.
We do have someone in the YouTube chat that says he's from Siberia saying hello.
Hi. I don't know any clean words in Russian.
Yeah, Vladimir.
I know
Thanks for
several
watching.
words in Russian. None of them are clean. So, in English, thank you, Vladimir, for listening. We're proud to have
We're
you here.
honored.
So let me talk a minute about Smiley. Smiley Burnett's sitting right over there. He's a Linux guy, and he's got his Linux machine there. If anybody's interested in playing around with Linux, he's got some CDs here, and he's more than happy to show people some of the stuff that Linux can do. I know we talk about it sometimes. We've had callers who called about Linux, and I know that many of you have never seen it or really have any idea what it's like. Or if you do have an idea what it's like, you think it's green letters on a black screen and you type all the time, and that used to be true.
Yeah, that's
but,
the way I used to do it.
Now it's a full-blown graphical system, and you can see it running on his laptop over there.
But you can still go to green letters on a black background if you want.
If you want, yeah. This is great radio. Smiley's.
Yeah.
Hold on, Smiley. Rob's tore himself away from the cake to bring you over the thing.
You don't have to be a smart person to run Linux. I only got a year of high school, and I run any operating system. If you're running any operating system, you just have to be careful. In fact, I started in Windows, and I go way back with Nick, and I think it's Phil Colasano, the bulletin boards where we used to get programs on little floppy drives that you could put on Windows. And that's all I got to say right now.
That's nice. Thanks, Smiley. If you're interested in taking a look at Linux, you can do that over there. The operating system is completely free. All the programs on it are completely free. There's no point at which anybody's going to charge you. No, that's not true. You can buy programs that run on Linux. I don't know why you would, but you could if you wanted to. But I've been running Linux for most of the last 30 years.
Yeah.
And I get annoyed now. My wife is still a Windows person, and I go to do something, and oh, you don't have this. Oh, let's get. Oh no, I have to buy that. I download it. You have to buy it. Okay.
Yeah, but you got to keep her happy.
As long as she's happy, I'm happy. If
You
Mom
got
ain't
that
happy, ain't
right.
nobody happy.
You can sleep with both eyes closed.
That's exactly right. My wife
Wise
likes
man.
knives, and so we're pretty happy about that. And over here we should talk about the fact that Ken and Lorraine, God bless them, brought us a lovely plaque, which is up over here. When we take our next break, should go out and take a look at that. It's really very clever and very nicely done, and we want to thank Lorraine and Ken for that.
That was brought back a few memories.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? So that's great stuff. And yes, sir. We have Rob. Look at that. He moved. He just ran.
So one of the good sites to know about on the internet is alternative2.net. So if someone tells you, well, open this up in Excel, well, you can go to that site and say, what are the alternatives to Excel? Well, that'd be like Google Sheets.
Right.
Or one of the open office programs.
Right.
Something
right.
like that.
And the nice thing about alternative2.net is it's not just Linux programs. It's Windows programs and Apple programs, Android programs, iOS programs. So if there's something you want and you don't want to pay for it, you have two choices. You can steal it. We do not advocate that.
No.
Or you can find an alternative that works just as well, that's free or cheaper through alternative2.net, and have whatever you want. Now, for example, for many decades, I used LibreOffice, and when I was at RIT, it's the College of Business, so they're all Microsoft, and if you're not using Microsoft Office, then I don't know what's wrong.
You're an outcast.
Right. But faculty would always come to me, the paper I'm writing has the system borked and it's corrupted. I said, well, use your backup. Oh, I don't make a backup. Oh, okay. All right, fine. So I would take their thing and open it up in LibreOffice. See, I can tell this secret now because I don't do it anymore. So I'd say, oh, yeah, it'll take me about a week to fix this. You open it up in LibreOffice, and when you open up something in Word or Excel or PowerPoint, if it's corrupted, Windows,
doesn't
Office
know how
just
to
throws
handle
up
it.
its hands and says,
Yeah.
I can't deal with this at all. We're done. LibreOffice says, well, I can read all of this okay, and I can read all of this okay. It's just this little part in the middle that's screwed up. So I'll just show you everything with some blanks in the middle or whatever. So if I could go to somebody and say, oh, I recovered 90% of your debt, they're really happy.
Yeah.
So, and I said, well, it took me hours. I was here all night. But here
Laddie,
it is.
you didn't tell them how long it would actually take, did you?
Oh, Laddie. That's one of the things I loved about at first OpenOffice and now LibreOffice is that it really can save your butt if you forget to make backups and if you get a corrupted file of some sort. Of course, now you can do much the same thing with writing Google Docs.
Google Docs is the way to go, and I mean, folks that say, "Oh, we got to have," they're using OfficeNet at work. You don't have to change. I mean, you can still. In fact, I was talking to a gentleman just this week. He was complaining because he didn't want to pay to get Microsoft Office again and pay the money for that. He goes, "That's a lot of money." And he says, "For the few times I use it," I go, "Why are you using it?" Well, I got to do the. Open Office, or Google Docs, both of them. You can use Google Docs. It's free. It's up on the internet, and you can share it with everybody else.
I have for many, many, many decades carried a thumb drive around on my keychain. I honestly have not used this in the last 3 years,
Probably.
4 years, because now you got one, everything's up in the cloud.
Yeah.
So whenever I want to work with something, I don't have to. Did I save it to the thumb drive?
Don't have to.
It's all up in Google Docs now, and as long as I can get at a browser somewhere, I can run it without a problem. And now apparently I can't.
Well,
There
it's
we
just
go.
like your photos. There's no reason not to use Google Photos.
Right.
I mean, the number of times I used to have folks come to me and say, "It's important that you recover all this data on this hard drive. I've got very important photos on there that I'd be devastated if I lost."
The new baby or the parent that just passed.
Yeah, or something
We
like
get those a
that.
lot.
And then you've got to tell them, sorry.
Nothing breaks your heart more than
You
that.
can share, send it off and see if Disk Saver and that can do it.
For a couple $1,000.
Yeah, and whereas you put them up to Google Docs, I mean, I have close to 4,000 photos up there.
And
I don't pay a penny.
Right. Google Photos is free if your pictures are less than 16 megapixels, which pretty much all of them are now.
Yeah, nowadays I don't need anything that stereo, or clear.
Well, and the fact is, 99% of the people who look at photos now look at them on their phones.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you don't need as high a quality, although 16 megapixels is very high quality.
Yeah.
So that all works, whatever quality.
Even if you had it printed off, it's still a very good photo.
Right.
I mean, the shirts, the folks that have that logo was saved up on Google Photos. And I created that photo, what was that, over 25 years ago?
Yeah.
With Corel Draw. And I've been able to keep it up there, and I've gone through a number of computers, but I never had to worry about where my files were because it was always up on Google.
And the nice thing about it is you can create albums, and you can add, just like on Apple Photos, you can, or iPhotos, or whatever you call it, you can create books.
Yep.
You can create a photo book to send to somebody, and also, of course, you can share right from there, right? So it's easy enough to create. I create albums for the family and just upload things, and they immediately get stuff, and it really is pretty cool. All right, that music tells us we're about halfway through the show now. You've wasted an hour of your life sitting here. Where you at, Kate? so that works. So stick around. We'll be back for a whole nother hour, the longest running computer show in the known universe. We'll have Dave Enright, we'll have Steve Ray, we'll have me, Nick Francesco. We'll have all of you here in the library, and we'll have all of you online. And we'll even have Rob Linton, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll be back in just a couple of minutes with a whole nother hour of sound bites right here on the Truly Great, and truly grateful to you that we can continue to be member-supported. It's all on you, folks. You're great. And award-winning Jazz 90.1. John Andrus. One more applause for John Andrus. We'll be back in just a little while. Don't go away.
Online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at soundbites.org. More with Nick Francesco, Dave Enright, and Steve Ray next on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
WGMC Greece Rochester, a public service of the Greece Central School District. Jazz 90.1.
On Twitter at 901jazz.
Hurricane Dorian is now packing 150-mile-an-hour winds, and many models show it staying just off Florida's coast, with Georgia and the Carolinas in the strike zone. Miami-Dade County Mayor Carlos Jimenez says the region still needs to prepare for adverse conditions.
Just because some parts of Miami-Dade are out of the cone does not mean that we will not have hazardous weather. There is a 50 to 70% chance and probability of tropical storm force winds, along with possible storm surges.
The southeastern U.S. could see 4 to 8 inches of rain, with up to a foot in some areas. Pro-democracy protests continue in Hong Kong for the 13th weekend in a row. Correspondent Paula Hancock reports police are firing tear gas and water.
The sight of that water cannon is not going to be welcome for the protesters. It was used the first time ever in Hong Kong just last weekend, and it cleared the protesters. Even the sight of it now is not doing the same.
I'm Ann Cates.
Here's another I Love New York travel tip.
Attention all Buffalo Wing fans, you're invited to Buffalo Labor Day weekend, August 31st through September 1st, for the 18th annual National Buffalo Wing Festival. More than 25 restaurants from across the country are coming together to celebrate this hometown delicacy. Festival events include the Creative Wing Competition, the Miss Buffalo Wing Pageant, Bobbing for Wings, and more. There will also be live music, a kids zone, and cooking demonstrations. And there's even more to celebrate. New to the area is the Buffalo Wing Trail, America's tastiest drive, featuring 12 pubs whose history, character, and atmosphere are as flavorful as the delicious wings they serve. For more information on the National Buffalo Wing Festival and the Buffalo Wing Trail, visit the I Love New York website at iloveny.com. Find what you love in New York State.
Hi, my name is Jeff Harris. Join me every Sunday, 5 to 7 p.m. for Big Road Blues. Big Road Blues is an exploration of vintage blues from the 1920s on up. Each week we examine different themes and aspects of the blues, playing both classic and forgotten blues greats from the past. That's Big Road Blues every Sunday from 5 to 7 p.m. right here on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Smart lights, smart locks, smart thermostats. You love your new connected technology. And the Consumer Technology Association wants to help you protect the security of your devices. First, don't use default or easy-to-guess passwords. Create unique ones and keep them safe. Next, look for and install security updates from device manufacturers. Also, have an active firewall for your home router. And consider using a professional installer to set up your new devices. Easy tips from the Consumer Technology Association to help keep your devices secure.
It's hard to believe that Soundbites has been on the air for 30 years, and nobody's been arrested yet. Join Nick, Dave, and Steve every Saturday from noon till 2 on Jazz 90.1.
Over 40 million people in the U.S. will experience a mental health condition this year. That's 1 in 5 of us. Many suffer in silence. They're your friends, neighbors, and loved ones. NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, provides life-changing support and education so that no one walks the path of mental illness alone. Show you care. Walk with us for mental health. To walk, sponsor, or volunteer, visit NAMIWalks.org.
Welcome back to America's longest-running computer show, Sound Bytes, on member-supported Jazz 90.1. Get online now. Call 966-JAZZ. That's 966-5299. Toll-free 800-790-0415. Or submit your question by email at soundbytes.org. Once again, here's Nick Francesco, Dave Enright, and Steve Ray on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Nick Francesco.
I'm Dave Enright.
And I'm Steve Ray.
And at, 5 minutes after the hour, we're hurtling headlong into the second hour of the 30th anniversary show of Sound Bytes.
No, I need Rob to turn up my...
You can't hear Nick?
You're
the one that we have trouble hearing.
Yeah, you're usually the one.
You're usually low. Nick's usually high, so I try to be in the middle.
We're here in the 30th anniversary. We've got some familiar faces and some new faces. A couple of faces we didn't particularly want to see, and they're all here. And we're having a great party at the 30th anniversary. If you want to ask a question, just raise your hand, and Rob Linton will bring you the mic, or of course you can give us a call, 585-966-JAZZ. That's 966-5299, or toll free 1-800-790-0415.
I have to say something about the whole Rob Linton thing. When I start going to Wegmans,
Robbie,
and people see me in the thing and they scream my name, I'm like, let me guess, you're a Sound Bytes listener. Oh my goodness, it's fun times.
Yeah, we all have to start calling him Robbie now.
We were the first one to make you famous.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Anybody in the audience have a question you'd like to ask the guys about anything tech related? Anybody? Okay, I'll be right over. We'll come to you next. Excuse me, guys. Pardon.
All right, here we go.
Thank you. Hi, I had an urgent situation a week ago, and I needed to open up my Microsoft Word documents created in Office 365, and I don't have Microsoft Office on my computer.
You don't need it.
I know.
Yep.
I was told this. So I went to Google Docs to try and open it up, and it couldn't. So I had to do something quickly, so I downloaded LibreOffice, which was easy, and I had no problem after that. I'm just wondering, can you open up Google Docs in Microsoft Internet Explorer and/or Edge?
Yes, but they don't make it as
easy.
And
pretty.
From the Microsoft end, they don't make it quite as full-featured. They block some things. So, yes, you can open it, but no, it's not as full-featured. The same thing works the other way around, by the way. If you open up Office 365 in Chrome, it often does not look good.
Yeah, they're what they call competitors.
Yeah. Right, and so they've actually done.
Even though they don't want to admit
done
it.
a block thing for that, and it's.
So if you
bad,
install Google Chrome, that's the best way to use Google Docs online.
Right. And I had one person ask me about, just even starting to use it. It's very simple. All you have to do, you don't have to do any downloading or anything else like that. If you've got Chrome browser on your machine, you've literally got Google Docs there.
Right.
Because all you have to do is go over into the right-hand corner where those little dots are, click on that, it brings down the drop-down. Now, you won't see it there, but all you got to do is hit more, and it'll show you more features within Google. And one of them is the Google Docs, along with Google Photos. They're all right there. It's not something you have to, reinstall or install and set up and all this. It's that easy.
Yeah, and it's Docs for documents like word processor, like Microsoft Word, and Sheets is the spreadsheet program like Excel, and was it Slides for PowerPoint? For presentations like PowerPoint. So you don't necessarily need to purchase Microsoft Office. You can use Google Docs online or LibreOffice, as the caller mentioned, not callers here, the audience
Studio
person,
audience.
the guest,
Yep.
as she mentioned, is a really great free Office suite available for all platforms, and it also can read a lot of weird files.
A lot of weird files.
We still use LibreOffice to open old ClarisWorks files.
Oh yeah.
Someone brings us 30-year-old floppy disks that we have to open.
And LibreOffice will do it.
Yep.
Because unlike Microsoft Office, they don't obsolete anything. They already wrote the code to open these files. Why not just leave it in there? It's not a lot of code. It's not bothering anybody.
Right.
God knows the format hasn't changed in 40 years. So just leave it in there. They don't even have to update it. And so the LibreOffice people do. So you can often open a program that many other Office suites will not open.
Well, I want to just let you guys know of a text message that just came in this afternoon. Congratulations from Panama, Central America, for 30 years of great shows.
Sweet.
I podcast, Dave podcasts every week and would be lost without sound bites. He's been listening for about 25 years, and oh yes, he's a member of Jazz 90.1. So thank you very much to Dave.
Thank you so much. Thank you so very, very much. That's one of the beautiful things that Jazz 90.1 and this gentleman over here, who I will not call Rob Linton, has done is he has made us. He talked earlier about Wham being on 38 states. We're now worldwide because he is broadcasting simulcasting, whatever you call it, over the internet.
One of the things I want to point out, Soundbites every week is listened to on average between 15 and 20 countries worldwide. Tune in for this 2-hour period, which is pretty insane, sometimes even more. So the reach of the program is incredible. So,
and we have many hundreds of people who download the podcast.
That's right.
Every week, and we want each and every one of you to be a member of the station.
That's right.
So that we can stay here for another 30 years.
We have another audience question here.
I'm selling my iMac, and I just want to make sure it's completely wiped out before I, give it to someone. Is there
iMac?
It's an iMac, yes. What's the proper way to do that?
Depending on how old it is, the older models came with physical CDs. Just like in the old days of Windows, you got a CD. So you put that disc in. Before that, it was floppies.
Yeah.
You put that disc in
32
to boot from that disc, and then you can erase the hard drive. Nobody includes CDs anymore. But what Apple does is they have a neat option called Internet Boot. So you can boot over the Internet, and that's holding down Command Option R on your computer. Or you can boot from the recovery partition, which is built into your computer. So a lot of Windows PCs have recovery partitions, but they generally don't boot if you have problems with Windows itself. With the Mac, you hold down Command R, and it boots that recovery partition. And then you can open Disk Utility and erase the main partition. And then if you want, you can reinstall a clean operating system, so whoever you're giving it to has an OS to use. And if you're very paranoid, there are options in Disk Utility that will zero out your data. So instead of just erasing the drive, which will take 10 or 20 seconds, by marking the drive as erased, but your data is physically still there.
Not a good idea.
Not a good idea. Then there are zero formats, so it will write zeros to every block on the drive, literally wiping out the data that's there. That will take hours. There used to be a 35-way erase, which I think was DES standard.
Right.
Where it would do that 35 times. I left the computer running that once to see how long it was taking, gave up after a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
But back when your drives were 2 or 3 megs, that was probably fine. But now we've got 2 or 3 terabytes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and it's got to write 1 trillion bytes 35 times. That'll take a while.
However, if depending on the kind of data you have in it, that might be necessary.
Yeah.
Right. But most people don't really have that kind of information there.
Yep.
All right. We should read another news item here. Apple co-founder and geek icon Steve Wozniak thinks big tech companies, including the one he helped found, should be broken up. In an interview with Bloomberg News this week, the man known as Woz didn't shy away from his view that Silicon Valley's biggest companies, Facebook, Google, Apple, just to name a few, have become too powerful. I am really against monopoly powers being used in unfair antitrust matters. not opening up the world to equal competition, and I think it's happening a lot in big tech, he said. I'm pretty much in favor of looking into splitting up big companies. I mean, I wish Apple on its own had split up a long time ago and spun off independent divisions to faraway places and let them think independently the way Hewlett-Packard did when I worked there. Apple, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft are all facing a broad backlash on antitrust grounds, with the Federal Trade Commission and the Department of Justice opening up probes of their practices. Woz explained that his main concern is the lack of honesty in terms of how tech giants have treated their customers. If you think you're getting one level of protection of your security and your safety and your knowledge about you, you should be getting that level, he said. If you send email to somebody and say a few little things, hey, my favorite color is green to my wife, well, that should be kind of private. It's kind of like whispering in an ear, and it shouldn't be that anyone else has access and hear it. Woz has previously said he thinks everyone should ditch Facebook. Note that Woz didn't say he thought the government should step in and break up Apple. Rather, he thinks Apple should split itself up, as should Google and Facebook and Microsoft and Amazon and a bunch of other companies. So do you think the big tech companies are too big? Step up to the mic or give us a call, 585-966-JAZZ. It's 966-5299. Toll free at 1-800-790-0415.
Well, the one thing that gives Apple
I've memorized it after all these years.
One thing
You're
that
doing
gives,
good.
One thing that gives Apple one of its big advantages is they control the hardware, they control the OS, they control the software, so they can make sure it all works together when they release a product. One of Microsoft's biggest problems is every time they come out with a version of Windows, there'll be millions of people whose computer it just doesn't work on.
Right.
Because there's uncountable, was our math professor here, an uncountable infinite variety of combinations of motherboard and BIOS and Ethernet and video card and all that stuff together trying to make all your drivers work. I remember a story you told once ages ago where you were custom building a PC for a company, and you went to PC World or PC Magazine, one of those, and got editor's choice of everything. And got the motherboard and the video card and the Ethernet card and the sound card and put it all together.
Because they had very specific specs.
And nothing worked. Because
right.
individually they're all great, but,
but
together they won't work.
But that's what the customer wanted.
Yep.
And, it was so I had to step in and change out a few things. They go, well, is it good? Yeah, trust it. And last I knew, maybe 10 years ago, that computer was still running.
I don't doubt it.
We actually had to
by
give
the high end.
Yeah.
That's Apple's strategy.
Yeah, it's higher end quality. They use better quality components, so they end up lasting longer. A lot of people complain about the higher price of a Mac, but if you look at equivalent machines from Sony or HP or Toshiba, the higher end brands, they're about the same. But you can buy a cheaper PC. It may not be as good. It may not last as long. It'll break in 2 or 3 years, and you have to buy a new one. We have people routinely coming in with 15, 20-year-old Macs wanting to upgrade, and then we tell them their software they have been using for 20 years doesn't exist anymore, and that's another problem.
Yeah.
But so it's that difference between being able to control the hardware and software, engineering them together, that kind of gives Apple an advantage. So you break it up into a hardware company versus a software company. They still have to, talk to each other.
They're still going to work together.
The one thing
Microsoft has all their OEM partners where they work together with these with the PCs makers too.
But the one big problem that a lot of even Microsoft and Apple are having issues with, and I notice it's been a good decade since you've sat there and announced, they've got this big machine and this big machine. Let's face it, nowadays you go into most of the retail stores and you don't see the displays of all the big machines anymore. What you're seeing is usually laptops, tablets, and phones. The big boxes are something that's going away because more and more folks are using everything up on the cloud.
Yep.
The cloud is the way it's going to go, and you see both Spectrum and Greenlight and all these other companies, because the homes are all connected. The way they show the ads now is everybody's connected. They're viewing TV. You can watch TV now on your tablet or your phone or that. That's just the way that we're evolving and going, that the big computers are, slowly being pushed out. And that's why we encourage more and more folks to do more stuff up on the cloud, because it is up there, it's safe, And it doesn't matter whether I'm in here in Rochester or halfway around the world. If I log into my Google account, I can get to any document, or I can share any document that I want with everybody else.
And there are still niche people that need those super high-end computers, video production, Hollywood movie types. Apple does have a new Mac Pro coming out. It starts at $12,000 for the computer and a 6K monitor.
That won't
you
be
thought
at
your
Best
4K
Buy.
TV was big. These are 6K monitors.
And 8K is coming.
And 8K is coming. And if you max it all out with the super extra whiz-bang stuff, it's probably going to be $50,000. One of the podcasts that I listen to, Mac Break Weekly, talking about Mac stuff. One of the panelists there is a video production engineer, and they do corporate training videos. And he said, I'm going to buy as many as I can, because if you can get more work done in a day, that $50,000 computer is nothing, because they're used to paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for Silicon Graphics workstations. Is Silicon Graphics even still around?
I don't even know.
Probably got driven out of business. Yeah.
Right, but one of the problems that all these companies are having is that really when you say it's a niche market, you don't know how small that niche really is anymore.
They might sell 10,000 a year when they do 10 million computers.
Right, but the problem is people aren't buying like they used to. Everybody's keeping stuff longer. Everybody, when your phone...
They work too good and last too long, so you don't
that's
replace
part of
them
the
every
problem.
2 years.
When your phone costs more than your laptop, that's not something you're going to replace every year. They just had a recent article that I read. Apple's iPhone sales are down almost 17%. In fact, the only company that's selling more phones than last year is Huawei, and they're selling them all in China. And they have low-end phones. What Google has discovered is that lots and lots of people are really interested in the Pixel 3a line, the 3a and the 3a XL, because they're a $400 phone that gives you most of the features of the $900 phone. Well, that's, for a lot of people, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, that's
If I can get all the power and all the storage and the great camera that the Pixel 3 has.
But it doesn't have that third lens.
It doesn't have the third lens, and it only has half
what?
the amount of data storage is 64 gigs instead of 120 and let's face it, you're going to put everything up on the cloud anyway.
I don't have the second lens, and the 3A works fine for me.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's done everything I want, and especially when you go into the store, the guy will, it's part of his job, try to sit there and, again, upsell you. Well, the 3A is better, the 3A is okay, but the 3 is a lot better. Well, yeah, he's also getting a lot more spiffs.
Right.
By pushing that one versus me just paying $400 versus $1,000 phone. Yeah, no.
And now on Best Buy, the actual Pixel 3 is half price, less than half price. $400 for the 3 and $500 for the 3A at Best Buy this weekend only. So if you are looking to upgrade, that's Rob is crying because he's thinking I could have that.
Where I just paid full price last week.
Bill.
Thanks. Hi, guys. It's Bill from Rundequoit. Since we're kind of in the neighborhood right now talking about these things, being in the business for quite a few years, I'm starting to stack up towers and old laptops I don't use anymore. What do you suggest we do with those? Besides the normal answer.
Yeah.
Well, you can donate a lot of the stuff. There's still plenty of organizations, VA and that type of stuff, exempts, and that they're always looking for donations to help out.
Yeah.
And there's a recycling company based in Victor called E-Waste. They changed their name to E-Waste because no one could remember Rochester Regional Recycling and Recovery.
Right.
ewaste.com. That will do responsible recycling. And they have pickup and drop-off locations on their website. And every now and then there are community organizations, a lot of towns will have an electronics waste recycling. The big thing you shouldn't do is just put your old computers, old electronics, old phones in the trash, because they are technically hazardous waste. There's materials, metals, the lithium battery, there's hazardous stuff inside the phone and inside your computers. So a lot of times there'll be a electronics recycling day. Right. Most of the time the recycling devices are free. The big exception is CRT televisions, because CRTs are very dangerous to take apart. And so there's often a small fee for that. But in many cases, these community fundraisers are used as fundraisers, and so they don't charge a fee for that. Now, someone had just told me the other day that there's one coming up.
Yeah, but if they're working machines, though,
Yeah, if they're working, you can often pass them down and find the people.
Try to, whether you're a church group or different, ask around. Even some of the volunteer groups that you could look up in that and see if they've got any use for it.
Sunking.com.
Sun King.
Yes, they're doing one in Webster at Xerox.
Perfect.
That's coming up, I think, in September.
Thanks. Sun King will do. But I used to do this myself. I used to take people's laptops, generally put Linux on them because, by the time I got them, they were Windows 95, and that just wasn't going to work. Put Linux on them and move them to places. But people got real picky. Oh, we want something faster than that.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Thank you. It's the only two words I can think to say to you. In general, if you can find somebody who's interested, maybe if they're Macs or their PCs, you go to the whichever user group and make an announcement or put an ad in their flyer in their magazine, and that's probably the best way to get rid of them. Talk to Smiley. He can get Linux on it for you easily enough. But yeah, I got really tired of people saying, well, that's not good enough.
Yep.
It's not good enough to get a free computer.
Yeah.
You may take a hike.
Yeah. We got a question, I think, over here.
Yeah.
That's 2 N's in Sun King.
Right.
If you're in a hurry, Eco Park by the airport will take electronics for recycling on Saturday mornings and Wednesday evenings, and they're wonderful to go in that place. You just drive in, drop everything off. They'll take the fluorescent light bulbs, the styrofoam, everything, and it's great in that place.
Good to know.
Name again?
Eco Park.
Eco Park. You also
Eco
bring
Park.
your old refrigerators and things, air conditioners, things like that. She's right. It's an absolute piece of cake to go through. You do have to pay a fee for some items, including refrigerators and air conditioners. But I think things like bulbs and stuff, you just drive in.
Right. Well, with the big stuff, they've got burly boys who unload for you, and they cost money. So I get that. And let me just point out what happened here just now. This is the thing I have always loved most about Sound Bytes, is that you folks have the answers, and we've always had people call in and say, when somebody said blah blah blah, well, how about this or how about that, and I love the fact that we've always been a community resource, but not because we serve the community, because the community serves itself, and that is my favorite part of this show. So thanks each and every one of you. It's been great. Andy?
Hey Nick, there's also Goodwill, and they're tied into Sun King.
Oh yeah.
But they're open 7 days a week. You just drive up and somebody helps you unload your car.
Yep. Thank you. Excellent.
Yeah.
And under the heading of earwig, or an earworm, that Rob Linton, every time I hear his name, that's all I can think of.
Yeah.
Thank you. The power of the voice. I'll tell you right now. Rob, you love it and you know it.
It's fun, and I always hear it in the places I would least expect.
Well, if you remember, when he was on WHAM, you used to call him reticent Rob Linton because he didn't want to talk at all.
That's exactly right, reticent Rob Linton. And he would get panicked.
Oh,
if we asked him a question, he'd get those little cartoon anime eyes. That
And the
was
sweat beads.
the size of saucers.
So maybe radio is not a good choice of jobs for you.
But now he gets on the air and he talks like a jazz guy.
Yeah.
But
I was emceeing the model airplane show last week.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And a couple of people commented on my jazz voice, and I was putting them to sleep, so I had to welcome. You know, I had to bring it up a little bit.
you do have a nice, calm voice, which
Yeah.
is great when you're dealing with angry people who've
Yeah.
got a computer
Yeah.
problem. We'll take care of it.
Yeah.
When I worked at the computer center, we had a technician named Ed, and I don't know if he had drugs in the back room. I don't know what it was, but people would come in furious, screaming, shouting, flames coming out of their ears. They'd go in the back room to talk to Ed, and when they'd come out and say, how'd it go? He says, no, it'll be fine. He'll take a week or two and get it back to me. Not a hurry, no rush, not a problem. And they'd saunter out, and I always think, whatever he's got back there, I need some of that.
What kind of incense was he burning? Yeah.
I'm sorry, you had more to say.
Nope.
Oh, now, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes with Dave Enright, Steve Ray, Rob Linton, me, Nick Francesco, and all of you. It is the 30th anniversary of Sound Bytes, and we'll be back with a whole lot more of it, so stay tuned.
It's America's longest-running computer show. Back to more Sound Bites with Nick, Dave, and Steve. Next on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Jazz 90.1 is supported by our members and the Fine Arts Series at the College at Brockport. Grammy-nominated saxophonist Jimmy Highsmith Jr. and friends will perform at the College at Brockport on Friday, September 6th at 7:30 p.m. For more information and tickets, you may call 395-2787.
Ready to become a member of Jazz 90.1? It's easy to do and it feels so good. Just call 966-5299. That's 966-JAZZ. Or pledge securely online at jazz901.org. And remember to check if you work for a company that matches donations. This could double or even triple your pledge. Anytime is a good time to become a member of Jazz 90.1.
Hi, I'm Brooke Shields. I've had a lot of different jobs in my career, but the most important one is being a mom. I'm teaching my daughters to be independent and navigate their own life journey, and I'm protecting their future with life insurance. I want them to be okay if something ever happened to me. Protecting my family financially means everything. That's why I have life insurance. It's affordable and a smart thing to do for your family. Learn more at lifehappens.org.
A public service message from the nonprofit Life Happens.
You may not realize how important 3 letters can be. For a patient who needs type A, B, or O blood, these letters can mean life, but there simply aren't enough people giving blood. Without more donors, hospitals may not have the blood needed to save lives. That's why the American Red Cross needs people to help restore the A's, B's, and O's that are depleting each day. You are the missing type patients need. Visit redcrossblood.org/missing types or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today.
Dad, guess what?
What?
You are going to be a grandfather.
That's great. Not too long ago, moments like this with my daughter would have been a challenge. It was a long road for me to find myself again after Vietnam. It was my neighbor Jim, another Vietnam veteran, who finally convinced me that I could still connect with my family and find that fulfilling life I'd lost. And I went for help down at the VA. If I can take that first step after almost 50 years, I know other veterans can too. Visit maketheconnection.net to find out more.
Jazz 90.1 weather.
The pick of this holiday weekend today across Rochester, Western New York, and the Finger Lakes. After a cool start, we'll see ample sunshine, just a few clouds later into the afternoon. The breeze coming in out of the north, the high temperature right around 70. It'll be in the middle and upper 60s in some higher elevations like the Bristol Hills. Tonight brings patchy clouds and starlight, the low in the mid-50s. Tomorrow brings a mostly cloudy sky with some scattered showers, especially south of Rochester, the high near 70. I'm meteorologist Josh Nichols for Jazz 90.1.
It is 71 degrees at the Greater Rochester International Airport, 75 here in Greece at member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Hi, this is Derek Lucas. Join me weekdays from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. for the Coffee Break Concert on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Nick Francesco.
I'm Dave Enright.
And I'm Steve Ray.
And at 33 minutes after the hour, we Our sound bites. Are you just walking, or do you have a question?
No, I have. No, I'm the roving microphonist. I'm
Oh,
the
you're
doctor
the roving microphone. If anybody has a question, just
Did
raise your hands,
you
and the
have one?
roving
Yeah.
microphone will come to you. Or, of course, you can give us a call, 585-966-JAZZ. It's 966-5299. Toll free, 1-800-790-0415. We got this guy, and then we got that guy.
Okay, that's great. You memorized that real good, Nick. I like that.
Thank you. Thank you. I say it in my sleep now.
Okay, so you're talking before about how you have customers coming to you with like old file formats and all that. I just wondered, when do you think we're going to eventually get away from, removable media? We put everything in the cloud. I'm looking at my desk where I have like 3 or 4 floppy drives that I used to keep around in case I needed to do a BIOS update, but I think we're pretty much settled on going to the cloud.
We're almost there now. Yeah, floppies are gone, CDs are gone. We had a customer come in the other day with a Jazz drive.
Wow!
And some data off. So we were joking. Do you have the Bernoulli disc too?
Yeah.
And a SideQuest.
Well, I have all of those, by the way, on a shelf.
Well, the thing is, in one of my workstations, I have a 2 gigabyte tape drive.
Yeah.
And that's wholly inadequate for how much I store these days.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people ask what they can back up onto, and you got a 1 terabyte hard drive. You're not going to find a 1 terabyte tape drive is going to be ridiculously expensive, and it's going to be 10 100 gig tapes in it. So the usual answer is another hard drive. But you sort of don't want to use the same media because that hard drive has a chance of failing just like your main hard drive does. So you probably want to use a couple of them to make sure that at least one of them stays alive. And you want to make sure you actually are backing up your data. We had one poor customer, their computer died, and their Quicken file was the most. How many people use a personal finance program on their computer? Their Quicken file was hugely important, so he gave us this stack of CDs that he'd been faithfully burning every week for years so we could get his file back. We put the CD in, and it was a shortcut to the Quicken program. Not even the data file. And so he thought he was backing up. He was backing up the wrong thing. So you want to look at your backup drives every now and then to make sure they're on there. Check the dates to make sure it's current. But yeah, that becomes an issue now with media. Hard drives are slowly getting replaced by solid-state drives, but solid-state drives are still too expensive at the larger capacities. So
and they aren't any more reliable.
Right,
The
they
average is
fail
5
different
years.
ways.
And they fail in the same amount of time.
Yeah.
One of the things that people are doing is one of the ways that you keep yourself safe is multiple backups.
Yeah.
So you've got the copy on your computer. Maybe you've got a drive attached to your network that's not part of your computer. You save to that. You save documents and whatever in Google Docs. I also have, I run a bunch of websites, so I bought the unlimited package because we've got 30 years of sound bites up there, and so I'm testing that unlimited. But I also use it to back up my hard drive. Plus, I discovered recently there's a company called pCloud, and they have a $175 lifetime deal for one-time payment, lifetime deal for 500 gigs. So I'm backing most of my stuff up to that. They also have a 2 terabyte deal for $350, but I didn't need that. So I've got my stuff in multiple places, and the point behind that is I'm a belt and suspenders guy. I was a system administrator for decades, so I'm a belt and suspenders guy. So I have multiple backups in multiple different places. So I went and found, I traced the IP address of pCloud, and then I traced the IP address of my Google Drive, and I pay, the IP address of the Soundbites server, and I know they're in 3 different cities in the United States. Anything that takes out all of that, the last thing I'm going to care about is where my data are, because we've got bigger problems. Yeah. But that's the way you do it. You just have to have multiple backups in multiple remote locations. That's the only way to be sure these days.
One of the other things that I always told folks to do is when you're doing the backups, like the gentleman, which I would have recommended to the gentleman with the QuickBooks, is, you know, you're backing it up and you assume, remember the first three letters of that?
Yeah.
That's what you assume become. When you're backing up, say, folders like that, what I always told folks to do is create a text file. You know, just call it a readme.txt file and put it in that folder. And the reason for that is now once you're doing these backups, and you say go back a couple of months, and you want to restore something to see if that backup will work, the one thing you can restore, because usually they give you the list of files to restore, try selecting that text file and restore that back. That way you know at least the folders that were in, you know, files in that folder were backed up and hopefully correct. But it's one way of testing your backup to not assume that it's there and it's working and it's working fine. One good way to do it is just a simple text file. Just try restoring that. You're not hurting anything. You're not rewriting, say, old data over, you know, new data.
And if you're more of a paranoid like I am and like you are as a system administrator, randomly restore a file every once in a while.
Yep.
Just one of the files that you've backed up, bring it back, see what it looks like.
Like I said, the README file.
Well, but other files as well, just
You
to
can
make
do
sure
that,
they're there. Because, like I said, that's, you know, I'm more paranoid than that. And of course, it depends on how you're doing things that you do. So, for example, unlike Bill, I do all of my photos off of this nowadays. Bill is a professional photographer, so he just laughs at we puny little mortals who are just using our phones. But I have my phone set up. You can do this whether you have an Android phone or an Apple phone. You can set it up so that every picture I take is automatically saved to Google Photos. So, now, of course, I'm on Wi-Fi, so it's free, but it does eat your data if you do this. But all the pictures I took today are heading up to the cloud, and we'll see. Well, I didn't do that there, but all of those photos will come up to the cloud, and when they're there, I can share them with anybody. I can do whatever I want with them. But now I've already got 2 copies of them, right? Because I got a copy on my phone, and I got a copy in Google Docs. And then at some point I will, in Google Photos rather, and at some point I will then grab that copy from Google Photos and save it to my hard drive, which then automatically gets backed up to pCloud and every place else, because I automate that because I know that I'm just a stupid human and I won't remember to do it. So I get all my stuff in multiple places, and now I don't have to worry anymore. You know, 40 years from now, if I want to go back and look at your lovely faces, I can do that because it's up there and saved.
We've been seeing kind of generation by generation, pictures are changing. You know, when I was a kid, it was all slides. Well, my dad worked for Kodak, so we got free film in order to test the film. So it was all slides, and then when my father died, you know, Mom had us go through the cabinets and pull out all these slides, carousel and the linear slide trays, if you're old enough to remember those.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. And now, you know, in my household, we don't have that many printed pictures. Here's what they're going to be for our kids, and our son, he has nothing. It's all digital. Nothing for his kids to look at.
No, well, but it's all there, and if it's all
there,
up in
yep.
the cloud, and you shared it with people,
yep.
or made it public, or whatever it is you want to do, then pretty much anybody can get to it and see what's there and play around with it. We're seeing there's a whole awareness beginning of what happens to my stuff when I pass. You know, who has the passwords? You know, when we're sysadmins, the company we work for, we make sure that they've got the passwords to everything. So if something happens to me, my company can get at those things. But now I'm just a guy off the streets, right? I'm a retiree. who's got my password? Who's got the backup? My wife does and my daughter does in my case, because I know to do that. But have you done it? Who has, I keep, and you should, keep all your passwords in a password vault. NPass, LastPass, any of those password managers. But who else has the password to that password vault? Somebody should. More than one somebody should. My wife has it and my daughter has it. So if and when, I suspect, as opposed to if, I pass, I'm still plugging for if. I pass.
Aren't we all?
Aren't we all? They will be able to get at everything I have online, because I keep not just the password, the username and password, but what it goes to and how to get at it and everything else. So even the pictures that I have not shared with them, either through laziness or whatever, I just forgot at the time, they can still get at everything and do what they want with it, and they can keep the memories alive. So, very few of these pictures are of me. I don't care if it's memories of me. It's memories of them, because I'm the one taking the pictures. I'm the guy back there. So if you've got stuff that you want to pass on to the next generation, whatever it may be, and you've got it online, get yourself a password manager, put all the relevant information for each thing in it, and then make sure that those of your loved ones or unloved ones who are going to be left behind have the appropriate information to get at all those passwords so that they can get at all your stuff.
Wasn't there a smartphone camera app or something like that that would take pictures with both the front and the rear cameras at the same time?
Oh, I don't know.
That would be really cool. So you're taking a picture of something, and it takes a picture of you, so you're in the picture too.
Yeah, but 90% of the time you get an unfocused face with the mouth open.
Yeah.
I don't know how good that is, really, when you get right down to it. But yeah, so you need to be aware that our stuff will outlive us. And you may not care.
Yeah.
But if you do care, how are you handling that? It's an interesting and fascinating. There have been companies that have started up, what happens to your Facebook account, what happens to your Twitter account, blah, 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 and who will handle that, and they will do that for a fee. Nice business, except that apparently they're not doing well because nobody thinks of the future. Nobody seems, you don't want to think that someday you're going to be gone and what happens to all your stuff. And maybe you don't want anybody to see some of your stuff. That's on you. I'm not going to talk about that. But
we don't judge.
That's right. We don't judge, mainly because we don't care. But
I wasn't going to say that.
Yeah.
Let them think that we do.
See,
yeah, we care, but we don't judge.
When I go, you got to race to my house and throw away all my porn.
Yeah.
I'll be there a week.
Yeah.
I have an emergency alert bracelet that says delete my browser history.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we got another question or two.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
This question is for Steve. Do you know of any good alternatives to Disk Warrior? I noticed that ALSoft still hasn't updated Disk Warrior at all.
Yeah, Disk Warrior is one of the big utility programs available for the Mac for scanning hard drives and repairing damage. They have not updated for the latest operating system, 10.14, which is now a year old because 10.15 is due next month. I haven't found any good replacements for it yet, other than using Apple's Disk Utility, which doesn't do as much as Disk Warrior did. We've looked a little bit into some of the other disk maintenance programs, but nothing seems to work as well. We have great hope for the next version of SpinRite, which will be able to run on a Mac natively. Right now you have to take the drive out of your Mac and run it on Windows. Although there is a way to run a VM. You run a DOS virtual machine on your Mac so you can scan a second hard drive in your Mac, which is kind of interesting. But the next version will run natively on a Mac. And it's one of those programs that a lot of service people use because it can fix crazy problems. It's like the what is that, /MBR.
Master boot record.
Master boot record, yeah. When in Windows, that fixes your boot
so
records.
long since I've had to do that.
Yeah. And that's actually one of the points, too, is that with the new APFS, the Advanced File System, and the journaling options that it has in it, similar to what NTFS does on Windows, it doesn't let your directory get as damaged as it would happen before. And every time you reboot, the journal replays, and if there's a problem, it can fix it before it gets too big. So one of the problems we'd always have with the FAT table on Windows and the directory on the Mac is anytime a program would crash, it could corrupt an open file, and your FAT table is always open. And so eventually there'd be enough corruption that it would prevent your computer from booting. And so you'd have to boot a different drive in order to repair the damage on the main drive. And so the file systems have been updating and adding the journaling features to try to prevent that from happening. But occasionally there still are issues with directories that need to be rebuilt. So I guess the short answer is not yet, but we keep hoping that any day now that Catalina's coming out, maybe they'll get their system updated for Mojave.
I got to be honest, I'm shocked that Apple has not had a journaling file system.
Well, they have.
Because Windows has had it, since
well, yeah,
NTFS.
it was HFS Plus has been journaling for about 10 years, but it didn't seem to work as well. And there was a lot of talk that they were going to move to ZFS, which is big in the Unix system, but they took some of the best advantages of ZFS and the HFS and created APFS, XYZ.
Yeah, right.
To make it
This is how you get to be a computer guru. By the way, you just remember the acronyms.
Yeah.
As long as you can say those and buffalo everybody else, you win.
Yeah.
Linux has had journaling file systems since ext3, I think, and it's ext2, and I used the ext2 and it did have journaling. You're absolutely right, and so I'm and of course Unix has had it for 50 years, so it makes a lot of sense because, as Steve said, what happens is if something is corrupted, there are multiple copies of the journal, and it can go to a copy of the journal and say, what did I do, what did I do, what did I do, what did I do, and recreate all those steps to fix what went wrong.
We always like to say that the directory on your hard drive is like the card catalog in a library, which is appropriate here in the library.
I don't think there is a card catalog.
I don't know. Well, it's probably electronic now.
It's probably electronic.
So if the card catalog gets messed up, you don't know where any of the books are. And if your directory gets messed up, it doesn't know where your system files are or where your documents are. So you try to click a document, and it either takes a long time to open, or it says it can't open it. It could be because the directory's messed up. It doesn't know where it is.
Right.
And so that's where Disk Warrior would come in to fix those problems.
And of course, the big difference between a card catalog and a computer is in a library, you've got a librarian.
Yeah.
And 90% of the time, you just say to the librarian, "Where is this?" And they take you to it. We don't have, somebody sitting around just waiting, hoping you'll ask for a file. That's basically what the operating system does. It is the librarian.
Well, now with that, they can sit there and tell you whether a book is even in or it's been checked out.
Right.
Again, how far we've come in just the 30 years that we've been doing the computers. I remember going back when we first started this whole bit.
Yep.
I mean, we weren't talking CD-ROM drives. It was black and white screens or green on monochrome. And that if you think over the 30 years that we've been with you folks, we've come one heck of a distance. That something that used to take up a desktop, and it was just literally one box with a screen. You didn't have a mouse, didn't even know what a mouse was. Yep. 5 1/4-inch floppies. Back when we started, or at least me, it was 8-inch floppies on a Trash 80. And now we're down to...
And it's a your smartwatch.
This thing here is more powerful than the $2,000 machine that you bought 30 years ago.
Yeah, this thing is more powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
it's amazing on how far it'll still go.
We got to the moon on less than this. Watch. Yeah, we did. It's true.
Hey, guys, we've got about 2 minutes left of your anniversary broadcast. I want to again take an opportunity to, first of all, thank you for your decades of service, and thank you for your service to Jazz 90.1. I'm grateful to have you here. And also to everybody who came out and visited with us today, thank you so much. If you want to support the program, we have membership forms up here as well and a donation box in the studio, because after all, that's how we're keeping this program alive on our nonprofit community station. So again, thank you very, very much for coming out. And what do you guys think? Another 30, 40, 50 years? What do you think?
Easy.
Okay, cool.
Works for us. We're as long as you people listen. It's not about us, it's about them. As long as they keep listening and as long as they keep asking questions, we'll stay on the air making up answers as we go along. Well, you're asking the questions. You don't know what the answer is. All right. And there it is. Well, quick timing. That music tells me that we are done for another week. Thanks to all of you for 30 years on the air. It's all about you. Thank you so much. Thanks to Dave Enright. Thanks to Steve Ray. See, I'm not. Thanks to Rob Linton for putting us on the air. I'm Nick Francesco. Don't go away. George is coming in to play the best German music you'll hear all week. We'll be back next week, hurtling headlong into the next 30 years of the longest running computer show in the known universe. That's right. It's, say it with me, Sound Bytes, right here on the Truly Great and Truly Grateful to you that we continue to be member-supported, award-winning Jazz 90.1. We will see you in just 166 hours. Be good to each other, will you?
The success of any business depends on its ability to offer value, a great quality product or service for the right price. Businesses themselves